All right, Parlor Jones here in Marty's Kitchen. And if you've watched my channel before, you've seen my New York style pizzas, and I wanted to see how they differ and the similarities between Detroit style or deep dish and New York style. So some people ask, what is the difference between a Detroit style pizza and a Chicago style pizza? Well, the answer in a nutshell is about 4 hours and 16 minutes driving time or 283 miles. All kidding aside, deep dish pizza and New York style are primarily different in the shape being rectangular versus round and the dough being thicker in the deep dish. The other main difference is New York style pizza, you can start with the sauce and then add your cheese and toppings, whereas deep dish pizza, you usually start with your toppings and then the cheese, and then last you just put a few stripes of sauce on the top. Of course, with any recipe, you could make these to your own liking and modifications. After all, that is the fun of cooking. So with that said, I have included the recipe in this video, and I also made it for a one pie recipe so that if things don't go exactly the way you're hoping, you're not throwing away a lot of delicious ingredients. However, in this video, I will skip the process of making the actual dough, other than pointing out that the refrigeration time on this process was for, well, 2 to 3 days instead of the standard refrigerator time for the maturity of 12 to 24 hours for a New York style pizza. So in any case, I hope you enjoy watching this video. And as always, if you have any questions or if you think I missed something, don't hesitate to put that in the comment field below. I will always try to answer every question. And I do appreciate it if you subscribe, like, and share. So let's get right into the video. All right, so we're going to start with the pre-slicing and dicing of all the ingredients. So we got our pepperoni and our red onion ready to put on the pizza, and just one step ahead of the game. So we're going to slice the red onion on a mandolin. I believe it's called a mandolin, but they're razor sharp, so you got to be really, really careful. And then we got some freshly picked oregano, Italian oregano from the garden, mixed in with some olive oil and garlic, crushed garlic that was blanched for about 5 minutes to soften it up. And then we got our 3-day-old pizza dough that's been fermenting in the fridge for, well, 3 days. So we're going to baste the dough now that it is in the pan. It's risen for about 2-3 hours after it came out of the fridge. And then we're going to put some pepperoni on top of the dough. Like I said, with a deep dish style, primarily people put the toppings on the dough first, and then the cheeses and the sauce and everything afterwards. So we're putting the pepperoni, loading it up with, in this case, some Monterey Jack shredded, and then some Munster cheese shredded, because there is no Wisconsin brick cheese in my local area, and I didn't feel like ordering it online. And then we got our wafer thin, really finely sliced red onion on top of the cheese on the top, so that when it goes into the oven, that the heat actually kind of, caramelizes the onions before we continue constructing this. And then we're going to top it off with some of that Italian oregano, fresh from the garden. And if you've never tried a fresh Italian oregano compared to freeze-dried, you have no idea the difference of the flavor. Unbelievable. So we're about ready to put this in the oven, and here it goes. So we're putting it into a 550-degree oven for basically 4 to 6 minutes, and we're going to see what, how it looks. So the cheese is now going on for a second layering now that the onions cooked a little bit. Besides, we did the second layer of cheese so it doesn't burn by being in there for the full cooking time. So now we're loading it up the rest of the way, and then this is where we do our stripes of pizza topping sauce. Now, like I said, you can put your favorite sauce topping on there, and then traditionally it's just one, 2 stripes or 3 stripes, depending on the size of your pan of pizza. So it goes back into the oven for about let's say 5 to 6 minutes, but you want to check it along the way because every oven is a little bit different. And then we make sure it didn't stick and we just pull it out of there. The pan was buttered. I tried olive oil. Olive oil doesn't seem to stay coated as good as butter. So we coated the pan with butter. It slid right out and the crust underneath was cooked to perfection. I'll show you that in a few minutes. And we're slicing it up with a bread knife because it can get a little runny, messy, but it isn't like, it's not sliding off the bread. And there it is on the full spread. So we got a Caesar salad with ranch dressing on one side and Caesar salad on the other, Caesar dressing on the other. And then we're just going to pan across the table with our fresh dinner and some brewski. Oh, well, let's not forget the drizzle. This is the balsamic vinegar drizzle. Try it if you like. You try it on one side. Just make sure you don't mind it. But you don't need much. Balsamic vinegar is a nice touch. Goes a long way. And there you have it.